Baroness Bennett of Manor Castle.
My lords, speaking after so many distinguished lords, I will try to avoid simply repeating what's been said, but I formally offer the Green Group's support for these amendments and thank the noble and learned lord who proposed them and his co-signatories for their labours and powerful arguments. And I will speak to three perspectives from Green political philosophy. The first is on the value of diversity, which the Common Frameworks approach embraces. A healthy ecosystem and a healthy governance system contains diversity. Our outdated, dysfunctional Westminster system acts to suppress that, and in part in response, we've seen the successful drive for devolution that's brought in political diversity across these islands. As we speak, the Senate is considering extending that diversity to local government in Wales. That is a direction of travel that this bill clearly, deliberately seeks to wrench into reverse, being deliberately destructive, as the noble Lord Garnier just said. Diversity has obvious practical benefits. The ability to experiment, as the noble lady Baroness Randerson was reflecting a little earlier, such as different approaches to blocking the flood of single-use plastics into our choked islands, different approaches to producing healthy food from flourishing small market gardens and farms, different approaches to educating our children, something later amendments in my name address. Where one approach is transparently successful, we can hope others will follow the lead, unless, of course, political calculations get in the way. The second philosophical point is about the value of localism, the people affected making the decisions that affect them, ideally democratically, as the nations other than England enjoy their democratic devolved legislative structures. Take back control was a very popular slogan in 2016. I entirely agree with the need and put it to your Lordship's House that this is what the amendments in support of the Common Framework Agreement do for people around these islands. Finally, there's the value of cooperation. Working cooperatively is something we as Greens find is very popular with the public. They are fed up with the seesaw of two-party politics, of a new government seeking to sweep aside to argue against everything its opponent did, just for the sake of claiming victory. And the Common Frameworks approach is the very epitome of a cooperative a way of working. My lords, the noble lady Baroness Finlay said for the government to reject these amendments is to reject devolution itself. I agree. She said that it was a step towards the breakup of the United Kingdom. I agree. Now, my view on the Union is different to the noble Baroness's. I believe there is a strong natural current towards taking back control in many parts of the United Kingdom. But if it is to happen, we can surely agree that it should be in a cooperative, positive environment, not nations feeling that they have to struggle their way out from under the boot of an overweening, careless, distant Westminster. Finally, I'd invite your Lordship's House, taking a scientific perspective that reflects my background, to consider the fate of the trilobites, whose long story of ocean success and eventual extinction was laid out in a paper in the Proceedings of the Academy of Natural Sciences this week. Through 3 periods of mass global extinction, the trilobites were a large part of ocean ecosystems. But after each challenge, they had less diversity in ecological niches and bodily forms. Eventually, they dwindled to one species and disappeared. In diversity, in cooperation, in local power is strength. In homogeneity, dominance, and centralism is a loss of resilience, decline, and the potential for disaster. Thank you, my lords.